Hello, I'm Emma from Double Stitch Creations. Welcome back to another Double Stitch Creations tutorial. This is Frankie, our Flamingo pencil topper. This is tutorial part 2. In the first tutorial we did her beak and her head and her neck, and in this tutorial we're going to do her body, and we might do her arms, I guess, that will let her be attached to the pencil. And then in the third tutorial we'll do her wings and her legs. Alright, let's get started. We'll just, in the first tutorial, which is all linked in the description below, we didn't detach our yarn because we're going to continue on with our body. So we did the beak and the neck, and now we're continuing on with the body, and we're up to round 21. You should have 8 stitches, so just count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and I should say in this tutorial we're using the 3.5mm hook. You will need some hobby fill, and we're just continuing on with our pink yarn. Yeah. Alright, so we're going to do 2 single crochets into the first stitch of the round. 1 and 2, so 2 into the same stitch, and then 1 into the next stitch. And I'll just locate, not essential but super handy if you have a stitch marker, so I'll just locate mine, which I'm always losing. Here it is. So just, you can use a piece of scrap yarn, or you can just use a stitch marker, and just comes in handy if you put it in at the first stitch of the rounds, because we're working in rounds, so we're just continuing. And so having a stitch marker at the beginning lets you know when you're back to this, when you're up to the next round. So, alright, so we did 2 single crochets into the first stitch and 1 into the next, and now we're doing 2 single crochets. So remember, you're going into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through both loops. So putting in 2 single crochets into this stitch, and then 1 single crochet into the next, and we're just going to repeat that 2, then 1, all the way back to our stitch marker, and we should have 12 stitches. So 2 single crochets into the same stitch, then 1, then 2, and then 1. Okay, now we'll just count and see. We want 12 stitches. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, moving on to round 22. We once more increasing, and again we're doing 2 single crochets, then 1, then 2 single crochets, then 1, all the way back to our stitch marker. So I'm putting 2 single crochets into this first stitch of the round. Then I'm going to put my stitch marker in at stitch number 1. And then 1 single crochet into the next, and then we're just repeating that until we get back to our stitch marker, and we want 18 stitches at the end. So 2, then 1, 2 single crochets into the next stitch, then 1, and 2, one, 2 single crochets, 1, then 2, and then 1 in the last one, and we should have 18 stitches. Alright, we just count it. Okay, 18. Now rounds 23 to 25, which is 3 rounds in total, we're doing 1 single crochet into every stitch for the 18 stitches. So I will do round 23 with you, and then you can do rounds 24 and 25 because it's just the same. So that's 1. So you can put your stitch marker in here at the first stitch, or you can just count. So 1, now you're just doing 1 single crochet into every stitch around for the 18 stitches, and we're going to do that for 3 rounds. And just 1 single crochet into every stitch around, all the way back to our stitch marker. So this is the first of our 3 rounds. So you need to go and do another 2, just exactly like we just did. And then I will get back to you at the end of round 25. Alright, so just go and do another 2 rounds, just like that, and I will get back to you at the end of round 25. We just finished round 25. Now we're going to start decreasing to close the body of our flamingo. So now what we're going to do is join to decrease. So you're joining 2 stitches together, and we're just using the single crochet stitch. So we're going to go into the first stitch of the round, yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops on your hook. Then going into the very next stitch right beside it, so we're joining these 2 stitches together, yarn over, pull up another loop, and now you've got 3 loops on your hook this time. And then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So that's the first stitch of the round, and you can put your stitch marker back in here if you like. And now we're going to go just do 1 single crochet, so a normal single crochet. And now we're going to do a decrease. So into this stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, into the very next stitch, yarn over, pull up another loop, so joining the 2 stitches together, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops, and then just a normal single crochet. So we're just going to repeat that, decrease, normal single crochet, decrease, normal single crochet, all the way back to our stitch marker, and we should have 12 stitches. So we're doing another decrease, so into that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops in your hook, yarn over, into the very next stitch, yarn over, pull up another loop, 3 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. That's the decrease. Now we're doing normal single crochet, and now a decrease. So joining these 2 stitches together, and then we're doing a normal single crochet, and then a decrease, then a normal single crochet, and then a decrease, and then a normal single crochet. And you should have 12 stitches. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So we are going to start putting just a little bit of hobby fill into the body only, and I didn't put any in the neck. But I'm going to close this hole a bit more to make it smaller, and then we'll add in the hobby fill. So we're going to, this round, which is round 27, is just single crochet decreases all the way around. So we're joining into that first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops in your hook, and then into the very next stitch, yarn over, pull up another loop, 3 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through a 3. So we're just going to do every stitch this time is a decrease. So joining the 2 stitches together. So I'm going to do another decrease, and then I might add in some hobby fill, and then we'll finish off our decreases. So you want 6 decreases all up for this round. So I've just done 3. Now I'm going to add in the hobby fill. So I'm not filling up the neck, I'm just filling up the body. All right, now let's finish this round. So we've got 3 more decreases to do. That's 1. 2 and 3. All right, now we want to cut our yarn. Now cut your yarn long enough, because what we're going to do, so that our flamingo head is not pointing straight up, we're going to use the tail to not only close the hole at the bottom, but we're also going to use it to shape the neck of our flamingo so it points down a little bit like this. So cut your yarn, but leave a tail long enough for doing that. You'll also need your tapestry needle, so just I like to go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, then I'm going to pull the front loop through to the back loop, so that's a slip stitch, and I'm just going to pull that tail all the way through. Now grab your tapestry needle. Okay, you may or may not know that each stitch has a front loop and a back loop. In order to close that hole nicely, you just want to go into the front loop of these stitches. So just going into the front loop only with my tapestry needle, and should be able to pull the hole closed nice and tight at the end. So just doing this for all the 6 stitches, just going into the front loop. Once you get to the end, just give the tail a pull and it should close nicely just like that. And now I like to do my usual 3 knots, but that's entirely up to you. So I just knot it 3 times. Okay, now what you want to do is just weave, feed it through the bottom of your flamingo, the yarn, and go up towards the neck. You might have to do this in stages, so go halfway up and then just go back in, and I want to go to about here on the bottom underside of the head. This is just so I can sew it down a little bit so it's not going to stand straight up. So then tuck it to the side, and then I'm just going to go, so I've currently got it at the bottom of the head. I'm going to bend the neck, and I'm just going to go into the neck, so about here, feeding my needle in there. Let's try not to get it twisted. And then pull it so that it tucks down, and then you just want to do that a few times. So now I'm going back into the head. And then back around into the neck. And I'm just doing it a few times to make sure it sits down. Do it as many times as you think it needs. And I might need to, I'm going to come up a row higher so that I can tuck it down a little bit more. And I'm going to do one more for good measure. And then just, I'll knot it off again, I think. Alright, so there you go. So now it's not sitting. You can even play around with it to get more different shapes, if you like, to sit back a little bit like the flamingo look. I'll just leave it like that. Maybe we might pull it back a little bit to see if it'll sit back. So yeah, you can have a little bit of fun with this and see how you go. Just making different shapes with your neck. You sort of want an S shape if you can get it. Alright, we might leave it there. Okay, I'm going to knot it off. I might weave it back down to the bottom actually, and then do the knots again, and then you're not going to see it. And what would happen if I pulled it? Yeah, so just play with it to see if you can bend it into the shape you want. If you pulled it a little bit tighter, you might get that S shape of a flamingo. You could even spend more time tucking the neck down, but I'm going to leave it there. Okay, and then just knot it off. And then just weave this end in and out of the body to tuck it away. And then you can trim it. Oops. Oh, that's the camera. Okay, so that's our body Our flamingo done. So let's now do, we'll just call them arms, but it's just really tight so the flamingo can hold onto the pencil. So let's add them in, which is these two here. You need two. So roughly, counting from the bottom, roughly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about row 5 from the bottom, and just slightly to the side of the head. Attach, this is how I attach my yarn. You put your crochet hook in and around a stitch. We're going to skip about 4 stitches in the front, so if you want it to be even, just take a look at your flamingo. So we might want to move this in here like this. Okay, so get your crochet hook like that, then grab your pink yarn. Then I just hook it over my finger and make a loop, and then I hook it onto the hook and pull it all the way, pull it through, not all the way through, just make a loop. And then grabbing that tail, I tuck it through that loop. Then I put my crochet hook back in and I pull tight. And now you want to chain 5, so yarn over, pulling that yarn back through the loop on your hook. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skipping those 4 stitches in the front, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just going around a stitch on the other side. Yarn over, pull up the loop, 2 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through both, and just take a look to see if it's fairly even. And then what we're doing now is we're crocheting around the chain, so not crocheting into the chain, I'm crocheting around it. And we're going to put 8 single crochets around the chain, so I'm going under that chain, yarning over, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then we're going into that same stitch on the body where we started, where we attached the yarn. I'm just going into that same stitch and doing a single crochet. So yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through both, and now you can trim it, leaving a bit of a tail so you can knot it off. So just pull that all the way through, and you can do your usual knots, knot these 2 strands together, and then we'll weave them in after we've done the other arm. So counting from the bottom, so we're doing exactly the same thing, but we're just doing it 2 rows down. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So I'm going to do it here in line with the other one. Putting my hook around a stitch in the body, making a loop with my finger, leaving a tail, hooking it onto the hook and pulling it through, and then getting the end of my yarn and pulling it all the way through that loop, just the tail of your yarn, and then putting my hook back in, and then you can pull it tight. Now chain 5, yarn over, pulling it back through the loop on your hook. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skipping those stitches in the front and putting it in line with this other arm. And just keeping it on, making sure it's on the same row. So going around a stitch in the body, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops in your hook, yarn over, pull through both. Then I'm just turning and I'm going to put 8 single crochets around the chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Alright, now we're just going to cut that yarn, leaving a tail. Then yarn over, pulling it all the way through, and knotting these 2 ends together. And now getting your tapestry needle and just weaving the ends in and out of the body to tuck them away and just make it a little bit more secure. Oops, it's got caught. Ends, little time. Weaving in the loose ends is a crochet, can be a crochet nightmare, but it is part of the job. And for some reason mine seems to be stuck around the filling, which also can happen. It's alright, try another spot. Okay. Right, so just weaving it in and out of the body. Hopefully yours wasn't as hard as mine. Sometimes that happens, you just got to keep going with it. It's getting the needle's getting caught on the filling. Which is a bit annoying. I don't know why it's not coming through. Well, I do know why it's caught. Usually not that hard to weave in the end. So you're just weaving it in and out, back and forth until you feel like it's secure. This is not liking me today. And then you just cut it off really close to the body. And then you've got to do the same for the other one. Hoping this one will be a bit easier. We'll see how we go. So I'm just going into the body of the flamingo. Nope, it's going to be stubborn today. Just want to weave it in that, kind of go in the direction of the stitches so that you won't see it. Just making sure it's tucked away nice and secure. And then you can trim it. Okay, so there we go. That's part 2 of our flamingo tutorial done. And then in the next one, which will be the last one, we'll do her wings and her little legs. Alright, thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying making Frankie the Flamingo pencil topper, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.